Hello and welcome to the Rangers Journal. My name is Kai Watson, and today, for the first time on the channel, I'm joined by a guest. So I'd like to welcome Scott McPike from SM Media.
Pleasure, mate. Thank you very much for on. I feel quite honoured here.
I mean, hopefully it's good for you. Obviously, it took a while for me to come on a podcast with yourself, so I thought return the favour. In case, on some off chance that people aren't aware of SM Media, just kind of tell the viewers what you do and what it is they can find on your channel and your Twitter page.
So you can find all sorts of Scottish football stuff. We've obviously went into the start of last season. We started a Rangers channel, and we've obviously got the Rangers assessment, the podcast. We do the player ratings. We're doing some kind of post-match stuff. We'll obviously kind of pick more up. But there's a lot of, as you say, like, with a lot of kind of different things, like a lot of different opinion articles and things, specifically on Rangers. All sorts of Scottish football you'll find on there. So there is a lot of stuff. We're launching a new Hall of Fame. So there's some stuff going on that as well. Obviously, there's some interesting things that will be coming up in the next couple of months. So I know there's a lot of stuff in terms of like speaking, like whenever there's new signings, to try and kind of speak to experts about, give an idea. But obviously, you know as well that it's difficult to get some people to speak to about kind of certain signings, but we did well. Obviously, we got a good interview with about Oscar Cortez and things like that. So, there's a lot of It is Scottish football stuff. We're doing a lot of other things as well. We've got a lot of golf stuff planned, a lot of kind of horse racing. Obviously, it's Cheltenham season, wrestling. We've got a few things planned in terms of kind of MMA and boxing in the next couple of months. There's going to be a lot more kind of stuff, variety in the channel. It's been a Scottish football channel. It's been kind of certain things. Obviously, we've got a lot of Rangers stuff coming up as well.
So obviously, I highly recommend the Twitter page, the website, looking at the YouTube channel. Pretty much if you like any kind of sport, the guys cover it all there, and it's very high quality content. So if for whatever reason you're not, definitely get on that. But anyway, Scott, we'll jump into last night's game. Obviously, chance to go top of the league, came away with a 3-1 win. Fortunately, not enough. A performance that definitely deserved more. But we'll start right from the beginning. Let's kind of get through the lineup. So went with Butland, Goldson, Suter, Tab and Ridvan. And then the two deeper players we had Lundstrom and Tom Lawrenson again. And then I think maybe some people were surprised by having Matondo on the left, Canwell at the 10, with Cosland on the right. And again, maybe another slight surprise with Dessler starting up front. So just from the lineup, was there any surprises for you? Was it kind of what you expected, or
I thought there would be a bit of rotation. I did think we would see Dessers. I did think that would be more like to get kind of Cortez and Silva was kind of Saturday's opportunity. I did think we would see them later on, as we obviously did, but I wasn't overly surprised that he went back to the kind of 11. I quite like the idea of playing Tom Lawrence in that type of game. I don't think you need to quote unquote sitters for that type of game. I think it's all about attacking. I think Lawrence brings a different element, and I think he's quite good in that deeper role. So I know I would certainly say I wasn't overly surprised. You see the need for rotation. I didn't understand the thing over you can't start Dessers. I thought Dessers had a good game, to be honest. We'll get into it as I'd imagine, but in terms of the game as a whole, when it's Ross County, who, with the greatest of respect, aren't that good, you play as attacking as possible, and that side's been working. Do you know what I mean? That Matondo playing in the left, he's been fine recently. Dessers has obviously been a man in form, so I didn't see why there was any issue. I was quite, wouldn't say surprised, but I would say probably quite excited with the team actually. Like with who I thought Lawrence playing was quite good, and Dessers coming in I thought was fine as well.
no, I feel agree, especially like you say playing Ross County at home. Like we've not needed to get back to that kind of Lundstrom a Jack kind of sitting deep. I think it's good having Lawrence in there. He's obviously come out himself and said he's not used to playing deep there, but he's actually like defensively he's pretty good. Like he gets stuck in. Maybe I've not actually broke down his numbers, but his numbers maybe aren't the best. But he gets stuck in there. He wins a lot of duels. He's decent in the air. He's
Yeah.
solid and strong in the ball. He's not like you're dropping a number 10 in there that doesn't put the graft in. He puts the graft in. So I think he works well there. And I actually think he links up really well with Cantwell. I think that's something that's kind of really exciting. So I'm not overly surprised. I think a lot of people expected Cortez to come in. He's obviously looked really bright when he's been on the pitch. But again, like you say, Matondo's not done too much wrong. Again, good positions last night. We'll obviously kind of discuss the chances we had in that as we go on. But I thought we'd start with genuinely some of the most ridiculous match stats that I've ever seen, not just from a Rangers game, not even just from a domestic game, just any game. You're even looking at English Premier League sides have played probably Continent South teams and not had numbers like this. So 72% possession, that's kind of standard for Rangers at home, but 43 shots, 23 on target, hit the woodwork 3 times, scored 3 goals and still missed 6 big chances with 20 corners, and I don't think I've ever seen us have an XG of 4.91. Especially obviously only managed to score the 3 goals, but there's not been that many times we've underperformed. I know a lot of people don't like XG, but it's still a metric that's there. It's very prevalent in kind of analytics these days, but it's like 4.9 was a really high number to hit, especially in a domestic league game. Like just even going through the stats before we talk about what's happened in the game, like do you remember seeing anything like that before?
Nah, to be honest, like even I was even having this conversation this morning. I can't remember Rangers putting those stats up in the third division. Like, really can't. Like, it's bonkers. But it was that type of game. Like Rangers, I thought, and I'll be honest and say this, I thought it's probably one of the best Rangers kind of build-up play performances I've seen in a long, long time. I'm even going back to early Warburton days in terms of you could see just there was some tremendous link-up play. I really was impressed with what was going on, getting the early goal. But it's Rangers, they don't do anything simple. And this, looking at the stats, if you didn't see the score line, you would think this was about 7 or 8 now. Like it would kind of remind you of kind of a 7-8-0 game you would see at kind of amateur level, with that kind of those stats, just a dominating one-way traffic. And it was, but it's Rangers don't do anything easy. And you're thinking when they went 1-0 up, they're thinking, right, this is relentless. They're just going at Ross County. Ross County really have nothing. But one brain fart and it's level. And that's the problem. That's where Rangers have struggled for a long time. Rangers need to kill teams off. And last night was a perfect example of that. I thought the build-up play was terrific. I thought there was a lot of real positives to take from certain bits of link-up play. We'll get into the goalkeeper in a minute, I'd imagine, but 23 shots on target and you only score 3 goals. That kind of tells you a story of that's a poor night at the office in terms of finishing for me anyway. But you can't deny that the stats are unbelievable. The XG, I do like the XG stat. I think it's quite important, and to have a 4.9 is quite ridiculous. And you actually kind of realise when you kind of look at those stats and you can assess them. Rangers could have easily had 10 goals last night. And if anybody had said that could have been 10-0, no Ross County fan, I spoke to a couple this morning, they said they're surprised it wasn't 7 or 8. They're surprised they didn't get an absolute hiding.
I think even just going on the XG again, like normally when you see an XG that high, you expect like penalties to be involved, but no penalty Rangers last night. Still managed from open play to have that kind of, obviously open play and set pieces to have that high in XG. It was honestly, like I watched the game last night, like I seen it all happen, but seeing the actual numbers of what it was, still pretty ridiculous. So we'll get into the game. Obviously nerves settle quite quickly. Thought it was a brilliant ball over the top from Tab. We see that Clement likes to get the ball kind of directing in behind Dessers. Despite what you say about him, he makes those runs. It's a brilliant run. And he manages to get it under control. And it's a great finish just to lift it over the keeper. The keeper's probably thinking at that point, because he obviously just falls back as soon as it happens. He's probably expecting to be on the receiving end of a 7-8-0. But we'll get onto that a bit later. After that, again, it was relentless. It was like the Aberdeen game in the first half. They just kept attacking. It was attack upon attack. Some really nice link-up play, like the chance for Matondo, like the play with him and Lawrence was brilliant. Like it's normally not something you see as much from Matondo. You can expect the sharp one-touch stuff from the likes of Lawrence and Cantwell going forward, but Matondo obviously had his couple of chances. Had the one he's tried, I always describe it as Don refinish. They just open up the body and try and put it in the corner. He's unlucky there. There's the one that the keeper, I think it like hits the bottom of his body and bounces up and then hits the bar. Again, he's unlucky there. He gets in really good positions. He's making those runs. Obviously, Clement wants the wingers to stay wide and cut in, kind of closer to the byline. Obviously, the fullbacks get to come inside and play almost like a centre mid at times. So Matondo does make those runs. He does what Clement wants. Like he wouldn't be starting him if he wasn't doing what he wanted. But he was quite unlucky with his 2 chances. obviously we come to Dessers, and the two kind of other big chances that he has, I'm sure the header he had from the chip ball that Cantwell had counted as a big chance, though that was a bit harsh. But the two ones, he has the composure to sit the keeper down both times. And I actually don't know for the first one how he manages to squeeze the shot at the near post. Like there's no space there. There's a keeper and defender. He still manages to hit the post. He does so well before that. But I think the one that's the biggest concern is the second one where he puts the keeper on the ground and he's got so much of the goal to aim at. And I'm sure it's Ryan Leake for Ross County. It's a great clearance, like defensively, it's brilliant. But when you're the striker there, you've surely got to find. There's so much space of the goal. You've surely got to find that. So, kind of, what did you think of the chances that were created in the first half, and how? I know people have been harsh on Dessers, but how do you see kind of those two big chances he had? Should they have scored? Do you think he's unlucky?
I think Dessers could easily have had 4 or 5 goals last night. Easily. Like, it could easily have had 4 or 5. Now, this is the thing with Dessers that I think we've spoke about a lot this season, and I don't think we'll be the only ones. There's times you can see why a lot of clubs have decided, right, he's the guy, he's a guy we could spend a few million quid on. But there's times you think, like, I wouldn't watch him out the back door because some of his decision making and some of his one thing you can't fault Dessers is his work rate. Like, he can put himself in some tremendous positions, but it's what he does after that you're thinking, what goes on there? What goes on in your mind to have that kind of mindset? Now, his first goal takes a brilliant ball from Tavernier, really nice finish, and he takes it well. I think the second goal is just as good because he has to kind of, I don't know if you watched it, he has to kind of peel back to get his head on it. Now, that's hard for a striker to do. Now, let's not kid ourselves here. You need to have a lot of skill to be able to do that. And the way he kind of places it beyond the goalkeeper is very, very good. Dessers will contribute. Dessers is going to be a contributor this season too. I mean, he's got 10 goals already in the league. That's decent. But the chances he's had, he's a better version of Dessers who could really take those chances with probably about 25 goals by now. Like, do you know what I mean? Like that, I always go back to the game against Celtic, the second one at Parkhead. He's through in goal, doesn't know what to do. But we see 2 weeks before that in Betis, harder chance and finishes it brilliantly. So you've got this kind of enigma type with Dessers. But last night he just seemed to. I just think that's what we're going to get with Dessers. We're going to get a guy who he'll score the hard chances, but the easier chances he'll find some way to miss them. And it's a good block, to be fair, but a real prolific striker busts in it. I tell you, the first I sent a guy for our podcast, I sent him a text right after the game. I said Lawrence Shankland would have had 5 goals. And that was kind of a joke, but I don't think that's a bad statement because Lawrence Shankland is a finisher. And I'm not saying Lawrence Shankland would have won Rangers the league. I'm not saying that at all. What I'm saying is that type of striker who Dessers had a good game last night, but you're leaving the ground again thinking Dessers should have had more. You're wanting to kind of find a ways to go to the side of Dessers can be big for Rangers, but you're also at that side of your brain thinking he should be doing so much more. And it's that tough kind of thing. Where's the mix there? But I mean, he scores 2 goals last night. I thought he had a good game. I thought some of his build-up play was well. I like him when he kind of comes deep. See, when he comes deep for the ball, I like that. But you then lose somebody in front. Morelos is bad for that as well. Morelos would come and get a lot of his own. Do you know what I mean? He would create a lot of his own chances, but there's nobody there to finish if you hit it straight at the goalkeeper. So that's the tough thing. I think Dessers. I've said from the beginning. I think Dessers was signed to be as part of it too. I still think that's something. If Clement thinks he's somebody there long term, like to see him as part of a 2, whether it's with Danilo or somebody else. Just see what he can do. And there's somebody else who's compared him to Joe Linton. Joe Linton was a striker who wasn't prolific, moved into midfield, and now is transformed. That's the sort of player Dessers could be. Dessers has still got time to really contribute. I don't think Dessers is going to get 25 goals this season, but he's going to get at least 15 because he's in those positions. I'd love to see his chance conversion. You'll probably know better than me, but it won't be high.
I'm sure as of after the game last night, he was sitting at 15%.
See, that's poor, isn't it?
It's not what you'd expect from. I'm sure I
Yeah.
seen someone post earlier on that just for last night alone it was 22%, and kind of people were discussing like, is that good? There's like 22% is really good over a season for one
Yeah.
game. No,
No, exactly.
like
That's the thing. It's like it's that kind of average, yeah.
So give me Dessers with 22% conversion rate over the season. Aye, easy 20 plus goals, the amount of chances a Rangers striker
Easily.
gets, but not for one game. That's the thing people can argue as well. Like on the Shanklin point, people are like, oh well, Shanklin wouldn't be in those positions, but do you know who would be in those positions? Bojan Miovski. That's exactly the runs that he makes every week
Yeah.
for Aberdeen, and he scored goals like the first one Dessers scores last night. Again, I'm not saying like you didn't say Shanklin would win as the league. I'm not saying Miovski would win as the league, but it's the inconsistency. I always think back at Kenny Miller. Like I think for instinct, Kenny Miller's a great finisher. See, half the time you put him through 1-on-1 or he had time to run with the ball,
Yeah.
he would just wouldn't know what to do. They just don't have
Miller's
ball
best
figures.
season was the first half of the 10-11 season, and the reason he was so good is that Naismith played alongside him, and Naismith was doing a lot of his running. That was the reason Miller was so good that season.
And that's the thing. We're obviously looking for Miller. Obviously played with Boyd a bit as well. We're looking for a striker that's the combination of both, but we can't afford that. Like
No.
a striker that has a combination of that kind of work rate, energy levels, and finishing ability. Like they're going the greatest respect to us. Like I understand we're a massive club, European football, but those type of guys are going for 10 plus million no matter where they play. Doesn't matter what country
Yeah.
they play in, unless we're picking a Miovski who's a bit more raw at the time. Unless we're getting somebody at that level. For the level we're looking at, you're looking easy 10 plus million. But let's kind of talk a wee bit about their goal. So watched it again a few times this morning. See when you break it down from a Ross County standpoint, it's a ridiculous cross for Brophy. Like, see when he gets there, see that actual cross in is brilliant. But again, I'm sure it's Yandanda. He just hooks the ball over his head. Suter's caught under it. Then Brophy gets a chance to run wide. Maybe Golson should cut out the cross, but Simon Murray's in so much space in the middle, kind of in
Yeah.
between Tav and Suter. Like from their point of view, it's a really good finish when it comes in as well. Like he takes it really well. It's a great cross. Well, Ross County standpoint, it's a brilliant goal, potentially one of the best I've scored this season. But you break it down defensively for us, it's the basics again. It's getting like I love John Suter, I really do. I think he offers a lot going forward. He's brilliant coming out with the ball. His forward passing's great, but it's basics like that, like getting caught under that, and then you're chasing back, and then you still lose. Like you still lose the one striker that you're supposed to be marking. So how frustrating do you think it must be for Clement to kind of watch that week in week out, and like what do you do with that? Like, do you drop one of Suter or Golson? Do you bring Balogun Davis back in? Do you try something else? Like how do we stop this? Because it's the same almost every goal we concede.
The best analysis I've heard of the Rangers defence for the past few years has been friend is both probably Martin Ramsey has said something very interesting. He said Rangers can look brilliant defensively in certain games, but there's one game there'll be a nonsense, and he's right. And last night was a good example of that. Rangers are so impressive going forward. Do you know what I mean? You're thinking early on, like, how's this not 4 or 5-0? And then it's one each, and that's because I tend to agree that it's a good ball in from Brophy. Connor Goldson has struggled with Eamon Brophy for years. He has never been able to handle Eamon Brophy. Can't handle Eamon Brophy's runs off the defender. He's never been able to handle, and that to me has always been a. See when Eamon Brophy's up against Connor Goldson, it's always been a bit of an issue for me. But last night it's a good ball in, but I think Goldson and Suter are kind of caught together. It's the same as well. The goal Rangers have been conceding a lot lately is the kind of long ball splits the two defenders. You can't stop that because you're having to. Do you know what I mean? Those players are going to make that mistake. That it's not something that at Clement will be absolutely livid, and I'd imagine that every single fan in that stadium would have been absolutely baffled. Like, how on earth is it one each? But when you dig a bit deeper into the defensive frailties, and it's something I said in the summer, Rangers have got problems in terms of not necessarily playing to the whistle all the time, but there'll be a 2-second moment where they'll just completely sleep, and that's enough for any type of striker. It's all you need. Rangers concede a lot of goals. See, kind of years going by when Rangers had solid defenders. Rangers didn't concede a lot of goals from number nines, right? Like I'm thinking more Walter Smith days. Go back and look at it. A lot of goals Rangers conceded did not come from number nines. It kind of came from either long shots or kind of goals for set pieces and things like that, where it was the defenders. Nowadays, Rangers are conceding a lot from strikers, and it's a simple reason that the defenders aren't really good at dealing with number 9 and dealing with kind of big threats up front. Miovski scored against Rangers. Shankland has this season. Kyogo, how many goals has he scored? They kind of don't stick on them long enough. Simon Murray's not been great this season, but we'll get a goal against Rangers because the Rangers defence can have a 2-second moment, and it's enough. And I think Clermont, I'll be surprised. I think Goldson obviously is in with the bricks and things like that. I think he'll be seriously. Beale should have fixed it this summer. Let's not kid ourselves. I think Goldson and Balogun have been fine, but I think this summer he'll be looking at addressing the defensive situation because for too long Rangers have made too many silly mistakes, and it can be a difference between like that. That's your goal difference there. Do you know what I mean? If Rangers win 3-0 last night at the top of the league, that silly goal was just like, and I know it's probably been level anyway. I think it's an achievement in itself. But Rangers could have been ahead last night, and it's all because of a silly mistake. I think Rangers probably should have won a cup last year. It was a silly mistake in a semi-final that cost them that. Those are the fine margins that the defenders, I think, will always. That defence in particular, that maybe with the exception of Ridvan. Ridvan's been guilty a few times. I've been obviously Shankland leapfrogs him against Hearts. That defence, I've got mistakes in them. And until you fix that is going to keep happening. So, again, it's just the Rangers thing to do, isn't it? You play, I mean, the relentless build-up play at the start, and then you end up level. And that's Rangers.
I was looking at it last night, obviously talk about Simon Murray not been great this season. And again, I doubt he's going to be watching this, but the greatest respect to Simon Murray. Like I thought at one point in the second half last night, I was like, this is embarrassing. Like our centre halves are getting ran ragged by somebody that's not a prolific goal scorer. Like all he was providing was energy, and it was enough. It was enough to kind of. There was a time he broke away down the right wing in the second half, and I was looking at him like, how's he get so much space and so much time, and then they eventually got a chance at the back post. I think McCausland does pretty well with their left back or left mid or whoever it was at the back post, but that was a decent chance for them, and all it was. I mean, obviously, our first goal comes from kind of the whip ball over the top, but that, like in my eyes, was a bit of quality. Whereas the one they whip rounds just get out of here, and down the line, just put it in an area. They're not looking for anybody, and Murray still gets to it first, and he still has a chance to run the line. Like I don't think our centre halves are the most mobile, but I don't look at them and think they're Davy Weir. Do you know what I mean? Like they're not at that stage where they're having to drop as deep as he did at times because he knows he's not got the pace. I don't know if it's just a positional thing or if they're just underestimating players. But at one point last night, it was like it's embarrassing how much space and time that Murray's getting. He managed to do it in the first half as well. He ran about 60 yards with the ball and almost won them a corner. It's you put anyone up there with a bit of energy, and it just seems like our defenders struggle with the basics. And like you say, it is frustrating. I'd assume it would be an area that Clement's looking at this summer. Obviously, everybody wanted a number 9 in January. They probably want the same again, but I think the centre half area is definitely something we need to improve because we don't know what's happening with Ben Davis. Is he going to come back in? Does Clement fancy him? Obviously, Balogun's getting on a bit as well. So I think it's an area of it's weird saying it's an area of concern considering how little goals we conceded. But how many more goals would we have conceded if it wasn't for Butland?
But I think that's the thing. I think it's down to Butland. Like, you ask any Rangers fan at the moment, is the defence any better? They'll say no, but there's a brilliant goalkeeper in there who'll protect the defence.
That's exactly what it is at this point. So let's go into the second half. I was actually quite surprised the half-time sub. Cortez comes on for Matondo. But again, like I said previously, Cortez has looked really bright. He had a couple of chances that he's maybe not getting the criticism for that Matondo might have, because he's new. Like there's the one, he's kind of in the middle of the goal, he tries to place into the corner, he's really unlucky. So I don't, like, I'm not trying to be harsh on him, I just think it's a chance that maybe if that falls to Matondo, everybody's like, Matondo again, missing that type of chance. I think there's obviously a wee bit of leeway for Cortez in that sense, that it's the first time he's had a chance like that. He's unlucky to put it wide. I thought he brings a bit more than Matondo. I think in his movement, he kind of, you see the way he drifts in centrally. Seen him and McCausland swap a few times. He gives Ridvan that space to drive inside. I think he's quite an intelligent player. So, what did you think of kind of Cortez in his performance?
I really like Cortez. I'm already sold on him. Like, he's the first 20-30 minutes, I was so like against air. I was like, where's this boy been? Like, do you know what I mean? This is exactly what Rangers have been needing. It looks to me, and I'm going to sound, people will say, oh, you're off your head, and I'm willing to take that. It looks to me to be what I wanted Ryan Kent to be, which is a player who will be so direct, so aggressive in terms of kind of tempo, and have the numbers to back it up. I think Cortez will get numbers for Rangers. Last night, I thought Matondo did fine, but I think it's Matondo just to sum him up. He uses his pace very well. He's very direct, but his decision making in the final third is very, very poor. And you saw that again last night. There was a couple of times where you're thinking, you should have done that. You should have went to that corner instead of that corner. Now that we're not Rangers players, but we see the same things. It's the same thing what I've always had with Scott Wright. Scott Wright at times can look really, really good, but these numbers are terrible for how many games he's played. And it's because there's just something missing. There's just that kind of final decision maker that I think Rangers don't have. I haven't had for a long time, that winger that will put up 10 goals and 15 assists. I think Celtic are beginning to get it with Palmer, where he's very inconsistent, but he's got numbers there to back it up. Do you know what I mean? He's got the numbers there where you're going, right, even though at times he can look as if he's in and out of game, he'll come up in big moments. Rangers haven't had that, and I'm thinking that's where Cortez kind of fits to me. Off the left, I think McCausland's maybe struggling in terms of, I think some Rangers fans are way too early to get critical on youth players, and I think it's no coincidence that youth players don't come through well, because the amount of pressure that's on them. Ross McCausland has been absolutely good, has been a very, very good player for Rangers since breaking into the side. But see, because he's not Barry Ferguson, see, because he's not putting those level of performances in straight away, fans got on his back. Last night, you could see, you never ever fault his work rate, but it's times just in the final moments you're thinking, be a bit better there. But that takes time to build. That's why I'm quite intrigued that Clement's there. Clement's giving him chances. Do you know what I mean? Clement's seeing him. Maybe there's nobody else there in front of him. I get that, but McCausland's doing nothing wrong in Clement's eyes and shouldn't be playing 90 minutes every week because he's not ready. But because there's no much width options, McCausland's getting thrown in, and I think he's only had one goal. Am I right in saying? I think he's had one goal of the game against Limassol. So I mean, there's obviously you want your wingers to put in better numbers, but I think with Cortez, you've got somebody now who's willing to unlock a defence. Kind of a low block, I think, is important as well, because you need pacey wingers who aren't afraid to really. A lot of wingers. How many times have we seen it with Rangers wingers where they've got the full back to either side and they'll go, right, you whip it in. We've seen that too often. Defences have seen through that. So a different type of dynamic is something I'm intrigued by. So I think Cortez will bring a different feel. And I think Matondo and Wright, I'm not throwing McCausland in there yet, but I think they just need to produce better numbers. But are they going to be able to? Wright's done. Wright shouldn't be playing for Rangers, let's be honest. And Matondo, you can see there's a player there, but just his final. If Ryan Matondo the numbers there, Ryan Matondo would be a starter, but he's not getting the numbers, and that's where Rangers. That's going to be the difference in a title run. And you need players who can contribute goals and assists. And there's too often, like last night, Matondo should have had at least 2 in the first half. And you're thinking, right, let's bring on Cortez. I thought he'd maybe bring on Cortez for McCausland, because Matondo was creating, but it wasn't really getting the final thing, just wasn't working. But I understood the Cortez decision, and I thought Cortez was very good, and I think he will be very good going forward.
He's a player I'm very excited by myself, mate. I think even just a couple of minutes after he comes on last night, is that one he kind of hassles the defender in the corner and he wins it back and he manages. I don't know if he manages to get the cutback, but he wins the ball in the corner, doesn't give it up, manages to get in the box. He doesn't just look to immediately drive, which I like. Whereas I think Matondo's like, I get the ball, I need to beat my defender either inside or outside. Like Cortez is quite happy to play the kind of one touch link up. He's done it a couple of times with Cantwell. His movement's really good. Like he looks like a really intelligent player that picks up kind of decent positions. And like you say, Scott Wright's a really frustrating one. Like he does that thing. He does it all the time. He kind of comes inside with his back to the defender and he takes the touch on the outside of his right foot, and then he'll drive past like three defenders.
Yeah.
Then he'll get into the box, and then just nothing happens. Like he does the first part of it so well. Like you see it coming. You know when he cuts inside, you're like, oh, he's gonna. He does that, like flicks the ball with outside his foot, and then just drives, and defenders are scared to touch him. Like he does it so well. And then like the one last night, why doesn't he shoot? It's almost the same as, not quite as bad as the Dessers one at Parkhead, because obviously there was more defenders in the way, but I don't know why he doesn't have a shot at goal. That again, that's probably the biggest chance of the second half. If he scores that again takes us top of the league. But kind of looking at the second half in a whole, there was a lot of shots from distance. Lawrence said if you can't really that brilliant effort, really he hits it with inside his foot and it's kind of drifting all over the place. Keeper tips onto the bar. I think Lundstrom had like 4 shots in the second half. And I think a couple of them he hits, I'm sure, I don't know if it was Kevin Thompson in commentary said that he hits a couple of them too well. He hits them so nicely that they just go kind of straight at the keeper. So looking at Wickens last night, 19 saves. Like I didn't think he'd done brilliant with all of them. Like a couple of them he spills, like the one Dessers has in the first half, kind of on the right hand side of the goal. He spills that. A couple of them kind of hit off him, but as far as I could see this morning, it seems to be a Scottish Premiership record, 19 saves.
Is that right?
I'm sure I was looking at all the kind of stat websites, and he was still his rating was like over a 9 for conceding 3 goals and losing the game. Like 19 saves is ridiculous. Is it one of the best kind of goalkeeping performances like overall you've seen at Ibrox?
I'm going to be very harsh here. At the time, I said yes. At the time, I watched the game back this morning, and you can agree or disagree. How many of those saves aren't right at him? The only one I can think of is the Cantwell one, where he does really well, and Cantwell has it, but he performs a good save. The rest are right at him. Now I'm taking nothing away from him, but a lot of them, and again, this is down to the poor finishing. A lot of them, he doesn't really have to make a difficult save. But that might be maybe too harsh.
No, I looked at it as well, mate. Like watched kind of highlights in that back this morning. There's a few like he spills. There's a few you're like, why like you didn't need to tip that over, or he palms it out quite weakly. Like I'm under no illusions think that it's the best goalkeeping performance I've seen at Ibrox. But there was a lot of chat I seen this morning, which makes me think the people saying that maybe didn't watch all of the game. They've maybe only seen the highlights. Because I do think there's something he could have done better with. Like he still saved it, obviously. He still only conceded the 3. But I still think if that was kind of Butland in those situations, I'd be like you need to hold that or you need to be doing better there. It's like some of them just bobbled off him, and again, can't take anything away from him. 19 saves at somewhere like Ibrox is amazing, and it's obviously enough to stop us up in that goal difference and going top of the league. But talking about goals, I want to get your opinion on this one. So I actually didn't put this in the notes this morning, so surprise attacking you with this one. Because I didn't see it until after I'd kind of sent you what we were going to talk about. So I've seen loads of criticism. Rangers posted Golson's reaction to the third goal last night. And I've seen so much criticism over this and the over celebrating. And I wanted to get your opinion on that. I've seen a lot of people assuming that the players must have thought like that third goal is enough to take us top of the league. I would assume that they know better, that it would have needed to win by 3 to go top of the league. So I don't know if you've seen this, but I've seen loads of it this morning, especially on the replies for the post that Rangers put up. How did you see the celebrations for that third goal? Do you think it's a case of over celebrating? They should have been getting the ball back to the halfway line to try and get the fourth goal, or do you think it was just like kind of a relief thing of like that's it, we've won the game. It's as much as we were comfortable at 2-1, anything can happen. The kind of how do you see that? Is it over celebrating? Is it relief?
I think it's weird in all honesty. I don't get why. Like, I'm just looking at some of the comments just now, and it's a classic example. Some fans are way too critical, and we've seen that so often. My big thing with last night was the longer it gets to the longer it's at 2-1, the more nervous you get, and we've seen it in the first half. Like Ross County score from nothing, they could have done the same again. So to get that third goal, it's more relief. Do you know what I mean? It's more relief that right, that's the third goal. I don't think it's anything to do with the goal difference. To be honest, I don't think the manager would allow them to. Do you know what I mean? I go back to when Gerrard was screaming into the camera after Rangers won at Parkhead. How did that go? Do you know what I mean? Rangers went on a terrible run after that, and that from then I think Gerrard learnt his lesson. And I think it's very important that the manager just listen to his press conference because the manager is just focused on his own side and his own game, and I love that. The Rangers manager hasn't. The last manager was, if anything, too obnoxious in how he set himself up. He had no credibility to back that up. Clement does. Clement is very grounded. So I think it's just weird. I think it's just weird that if fans are saying, "Oh, Goldson's over celebrating," because I really don't know why people care. Like, it's 3-1. Do you know what I mean? It's a 3-1 win at home. It's your game in hand. You're level in points. The goal difference is level. To me, that's an achievement. Rangers should never be in this title race. It's full credit to the manager. So I would focus on that instead of fans being very, very bizarre in terms of slagging a player for his. I don't care. I don't know why fans care. Just, do you know what I mean? Rangers have worked wonders to get it back to where it is just now. Do you know what I mean? Who cares? I'd rather be, do you know what I mean? Rather be leveling goals and a goal behind. So focus on that. Do you know what I mean? I just think it's bizarre.
I know, I agree, mate. I actually couldn't believe there was so much of it this morning. Like when I went on Twitter, it wasn't even just like one person here and there. There was so much, oh, they should have been getting the ball back to the halfway line. Like, why is he celebrating like that? Blah, blah, blah. And it's like, obviously, it is really, like, again, like you say, we shouldn't be in this title race. And it's weird seeing the contrast of kind of comments from when we were that far behind to now it's a case of we're bottling it because we're not scoring 4 goals. Do you know what I mean that's coming from both sides? That's coming from Celtic fans, but it's also coming from our own fans saying that we've bottled it because we've had 2 chances to go top of the league and we've not won the game by enough goals. Like it's a thought process I can't understand. Like we shouldn't be where we are. Like we've just kept winning. We're playing well again. I don't know how people can look at last night and say the Rangers didn't play well. Like some of the link up play going forward's brilliant. Like it's a lot quicker than it was. We use the pitch a lot better. The players look more comfortable. Like it's good to watch. Like it's I mean frustrating that we only scored 3, but not even from. I don't think it's frustrating that we only scored 3 because we didn't go top of the league. It's frustrating that we scored 3 goals from 23 shots on target. Like if that was any game, it'd be frustrating. It's not frustrating because we didn't go top of the league. They scored the 3 goals because we had so many good chances, but the good chances came for the most part from good football. It wasn't like they were sending us through or passing to the striker. Like we got the amount of chances we deserve because we're playing decent stuff right now, which wasn't the case when obviously Beale was still here.
Yeah.
So I think it's just I think some fans need a bit of reality check and look back at where we were 2, 3, 4 months ago and just enjoy it for what it is now. Like we weren't expecting to be in the title race. Enjoy how good the football is. Enjoy the fact that we're here. Whatever happens, nobody knows what's going to happen next. If it keeps going the way it's going, it looks good. It looks positive for the future. If it doesn't happen this season, I'm more than confident going into next season that it could happen. So I think some people just need to take a step back and not like imagine coming away from that game last night and still being negative about it. Like I don't get it. It's frustrating to read, and you'll obviously be the same yourself. Like it's everywhere. I'm sure there was one of the I don't even know what paper it was had in the back page that Clement had bottled it like, because we only won by the 2 goals. It's wild.
I've never seen a fan base, and as again, it's the other side of the city as well. Both sides are really guilty of this. They will look at a negative other than a positive. Do you know what I mean? Like, if you had said to me, when did Clement take over? Mid-October, and it was 7 points. If you'd said to me, Rangers would be 7, Rangers would be level in points on the 15th of February to play Celtic twice. I think there's a few
after
people
also getting beat by them as well,
and also losing at Parkhead, losing twice to them. I would have said there's a few people testing my lemonade sitting there. Now, that's a mixture of two things. Celtic have regressed. There is no doubt about that. Look at how they were last season to this season. They're a different side. With the same players. But Clement has went in there and worked wonders. With a bad squad that's full of injuries. So it's a perfect storm. Now, for a neutral, this is quite exciting. I was talking to a friend this morning who has no interest in the Old Firm, but he said this is quite intriguing. But he also said something that I agree with. Both sides aren't that good. Both sides will drop points between now and the end of the season. Like, it's going to be interesting.
I know, I definitely agree with it. Like, it's at the point now where the fact that we didn't think we were going to be here, it's trying to enjoy it while we're in it. I know it's tough. I know there's a lot of fans of a certain age that have never been in a title race, that didn't experience Helicopter Sunday. Do you know what I mean? A lot of fans have kind of started supporting the club coming up through the lower leagues. Like, they've never had that Rangers and Celtic properly going at each other, and I think it shows dramatically when you see social media that they've not experienced it before. But it's, despite, no matter what you think of Rangers or Celtic, we're in a title race. It's going to be tight. Both teams again are going to drop points. There's 2 Old Firm games to come up. We're still in Europe, still got another cup to play in. It's like, I feel like with the way we're playing now, there should be at least some kind of excitement, but there doesn't seem to be any. Like, if you think you weren't going to be in this position, we're now here. It's enjoying it while we're in it, because it's going to be a roller coaster at the end of the season, an absolute roller coaster of emotion that, again, many haven't experienced. And it's going to be.
That was in the last season as well. Beale get decent results in the league, but so did Celtic. Celtic weren't dropping many points. Celtic are dropping points now. Celtic's next 3 games are home to Kilmarnock, away to Motherwell, and home to Dundee. I'm not 100% confident they'll take 9 points from that. So there's a chance. There's a chance there. And if Rangers play in front of Celtic, do you know what I mean? If Rangers play first, I always say it's important. I always say about winning the weekend, and it's true. It's so level now. Level in goal difference, level in points. If Rangers play first, they've got the aces that weekend. If Rangers win 4-0, Celtic need to win 5 to win the weekend. So it's that. That's what it's going to be like now. So it's for the first time in a while. It's very good.
I think we're obviously coming into the stage where it's going to be they play first most of the time. Obviously, coming back into Europe, I know they play Saturday this week. I know we play on Sunday. I'm assuming they're playing Saturday this week. And then when Europe comes back around, it'll be us playing on Sunday. So technically, the pressure is going to be on us. We've managed to deal with it so far. Obviously, historically, we haven't in recent years anyway. So I think that's the big test for Clement and this Rangers side, to have the mentality to be able to play second. And no matter what Celtic do, we still need to win. If they win, they draw, they lose, our end result still needs to be the same. And like you said earlier, that's the thing I love about Clement. Like, he's genuinely not thinking about them. No. Whereas the other side, you see there's loads of wee digs from Rodgers. When they were in front, there was loads of wee digs. And now that it's tight, all of a sudden he doesn't want to say anything. Whereas Clement's
Celtic have been protesting their stand while we're heading the league. That will forever baffle me. Do you know what I mean? That to me, that's not normal. Now, they could have a Rose protest 2 months ago when they were getting beat 6-0 by Atletico Madrid. But John won one at Aberdeen while you're top of the league. It's a sense of entitlement that Rangers fans modern day don't have. But this is a big test for Celtic. Have never ever been in a situation where they're behind, they're in a title race under Brendan Rodgers on the past few years. The only time Celtic threw it lost the league was when they were an absolute disaster, and Rangers motored to win that league in the COVID season. So this is uncharted territory for Celtic, and it's how Rangers put them under pressure.
That's exactly what I'm saying. Like, a lot of our fans haven't been in a title race. Like, neither have a lot of Celtic fans of the same age. They've never felt that pressure from Rangers. Like you say, the season we won 55, walked away with it. Like, that Rangers team was a machine that just wasn't losing, barely dropped any points. But they've also, as much as the Rangers fans haven't seen it because a lot of them have grew up going through the divisions, those Celtic fans have been used to winning constant trebles and trophies all the time. And it's obviously enjoyable from a Rangers supporter's point of view to kind of see how badly they take not winning anything. Like, they're still, like you say, they're still top of the league. They're still in a cup. But it's that entitlement that they have that this season is becoming a disaster for them. And it's brilliant from our perspective.
I wouldn't say it's a disaster. What I would say is about them right now is, for the first time in a while, they can see Rangers improving. They've got a manager. They didn't really fear Gerrard. I think they fear Clement. And I think that's important. And I think there's a lot of them that are looking at Brendan Rodgers and thinking, we don't really want you here. If we lose this league, it's because you're here. So there's that kind of cauldron that's kind of getting mixed there. Clement has made so much ground in Celtic that he needs to keep doing it. Put them under pressure and see what happens.
Going on that, mate, what's your prediction for the end of the season? Do Rangers win the title? Is there a treble? What are you predicting for the end of the season?
I don't know. I don't know if I'll get slaughtered one way or the other. I think Rangers can win the league. No, I didn't say that. Even after the Christmas game, the New Year game against Celtic, I said that's always going to be a problem. Rangers. But now the way they've recovered for that, I'm very optimistic that Rangers can put down a challenge. Because Rangers are going, to me, Rangers are going one way with a very, very average squad, with a very good manager. Whereas Celtic, yes, we know Brendan Rodgers is a very, very good manager, but the vibes aren't right there. And I've said that a lot. There could be a problem there. And if Rangers can be level going into April, the game in April against Celtic at home, that's a massive opportunity, because if Rangers beat Celtic that day and go ahead, Celtic won't recover. That's my prediction.
It's going to be, like I said, it's going to be an absolute roller coaster when you factor Europe and the Scottish Cup into that as well. It's exciting and nerve-wracking times, but we'll wrap it up there, mate. So thank you very much for coming on.
Pleasure, mate. Thank you very much for having me.
Thanks, guys. Have a good day.